Michael Boyle's StrengthCoach.com presents the Strength Coach Podcast, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. PerformBetter.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 305 of the Strength Coach Podcast, the official podcast of Michael Boyle's StrengthCoach.com, the world's best source for strength conditioning information, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. Check them out at PerformBetter.com. I'm your host, Anthony Randall. The show notes are located at my site, ContinueFit.com. ContinueFit.com. All right, on the StrengthCoach.com and MBSC.TV Coaches Corner, I spoke to Coach Boyle about two of the coaches' minutes he did recently. One was on adult clients lifting heavy, and the other was on overtraining. And I had a couple of questions on that, kind of really what exactly, how he defined adult clients, and then also how do you define lifting heavy? So there were some similarities within those two Coach's Minute segments, so I wanted to get him on to talk about that. All right, for the Naamly Hit the Gym with the Strength Coach segment, I got a special compilation that I did. I got 14 gym owners, men and women in the US and Canada, and who own gyms, and asked them one question. They had 5 minutes to answer it. And basically it was, what is the one thing that COVID changed in your business that was positive and that you're keeping? And this was inspired by some of the conversations that I've had, the ongoing conversations that I had with Coach Boyle, and some of the things that he's been doing. Obviously, he's on every show, so we were keeping up with what he was doing. And so it kind of struck me, and I wanted to ask other people. So I got answers from Mark Fisher, Rhonda, Catt, Vince Gabriele, Rick Mayo, Christa, Doran, Mike Boyle, TJ Lopez, Eugenia Bradshaw, Mike Ranfone, Dan Goodman, Elspeth Vino, Guy Massey, Christopher Kievit, Kendall Green, and Nate VanKouwenberg. So lots of people in there that have been on Strength Coach TV: Vince Gabriele, Christa, Doran, obviously Coach Boyle, TJ Lopez, Mike Ranfone, Guy Massey, Christopher Kievit. All these folks were on Strength Coach TV, and plenty of these folks have been on the podcast in the past. All right, so Naamly, they are the member experience platform for modern training gyms, helps you to build lasting relationships with your members so you stay longer, or they stay longer and pay longer. Now, obviously, this is really important right now. It's an incredible tool. It puts the communication with your members all in one place, and this allows you to keep track of that communication, which, by the way, is so important for retention. We hear so much about marketing, rarely about retention, and this is the tool that can help you with that. So go to Naamly.com, Naamly.com. You can schedule a demo and get a feel for, what you can do with this incredible tool. It's what I did. I checked it out. So use the referral code Strength Coach, and you will get a free 30-day trial. All right, for the Train Heroic data-driven coaching segment, Tim and Adam discuss pricing in the marketplace. That's really the marketplace for Train Heroic, where you can sell your programs. We talk a lot about having additional revenue streams, diverse revenue streams, and this is one way to do it. Don't forget, Coach Boyle and I both use Train Heroic to deliver all of our online training, and they have plans that start as low as $10 a month, depending on how many people you have. And they also have a free 14-day trial. If you mention that we sent you, you'll get a 4-week athlete development program in your account absolutely free, so you can kind of get a little bit of a head start on the programming. So if you're a coach looking for the best online training solution in the game, go to trainheroic.com to take your free 14-day trial today. All right, for the Certified Functional Strength Coach segment with Brendan Rearick and Kevin Carr. Today's show, Brendan's going to finish up the 7-part series on movement as medicine. In part 7, he talks about consistency is king, moderation is queen. You need both to make lasting change. So it's a great series coming up that the boys are finishing up today. And they're going to continue on the show, but this is just that one series. All right, for the Fit to Speak segment, Jenny Rearick continues her 4-part series on the 4 elements of great communication. Jenny talks about how to pick the best medium for sharing your message, whether that be texting, emailing, or a phone call, and then give some best practice tips for making the most out of whichever you choose. All right, lots of things to get to, so let's get on the phone with Coach Boyle. All right, now it's time for the StrengthCoach.com and MBSC TV, formerly known as Body by Boyle Online. This is the Coach's Corner with Coach Boyle. And they just relaunched MBSC.TV. And it, like what we like to say is it's the secret weapon that top performing strength and conditioning coaches use every day. You can get a front row seat and an all access pass to what makes MBSC what Men's Health considered the #1 gym in America. And they're having a 7-day trial. That's a new thing as well. There's so much content, guys. We're calling it the Netflix of strength and conditioning. There's so much stuff on there. So go to mbsc.tv for the 7-day trial. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ian. How are you?
Hanging in there. We got a great episode today. I'm really excited just because it was. I was telling you earlier, it's on something. I'm gonna ask you again, but this episode was inspired by some of the stuff that you were doing and that in all of our conversations and trying to say like, hey, what will you be keeping? And it's amazing. Look, you and I try to keep it positive, as much positivity as we can and see the bright side. And so that's why I was like, this would be a good episode. So we got 13 gym owners coming up talking about something they changed that was positive and that they're keeping. But I wanted to go over something. You did 2 coaches minutes recently. One was on adult clients lifting heavy. I guess you got into a kind of a Twitter thing and you wanted to clarify. And then the other one was on overtraining. And both mentioned minimal effective dose. And I guess with, especially with adults lifting heavy, it's a tough subject because we have to define what adult means, first of all. Does that mean 28 years old, 5-6 years into working full time, possibly married, kid on the way? Or, is it a person in their 40s and 50s? We're not leaving out the 30s, but, also what does heavy mean? Because heavy is, like your famous saying is, what's the lens we're looking through? So, for me, I just wanted to go over this because I'm going to be 54. I have a couple clients still that I train. And, my thing was heavy is 1.5 times body weight. That's it. In the deadlift, both trap bar and straight bar. So for me, that's the sweet spot that I found in all my years of training and training myself, is I felt like this is enough. I feel good. My clients, they loved it. We did it once a week. And, some people might say, hey, that's not heavy. But for me, that's a little over, 300 pounds, like 325 would be 1.5. And look, from a general perspective, that is heavy. That's super heavy for somebody. I mean, look, when you start to get, as you're 61, when you start to look around at your friends, like there's no way, like most of your friends are even picking up close to that. And so they really love it. I have one client who was a meathead in the 70s and 80s, and like he's had no problems from an injury perspective with these lifts. It's programmed once a week. So I just wanted to go over your thoughts on this and kind of redefining, like, what when you say adult clients, what do you mean exactly? It's not because with you have a wide spectrum. And then number 2 is what are you feeling like is going to be too heavy?
Well, I'll start with the first one. I think an adult client is anyone basically who is not, if you're not playing a sport for a living, you're an adult client. So, I mean, I have adults who play professional sports. I don't treat them like I treat my adult clients. I treat everybody else because I look at it and think the adult client is someone who has to go to work and who, if you do something wrong, you impact their ability either to attend work and or to do their job. So that's the first kind of guideline for me.
Okay, but that's great. So I get it. That is perfect. Now, I guess I don't want to say the problem that I'm having with that, but everything that you preach or that you've taught us is very safe. For example, the 5 pounds, on the bar a week. If I'm doing that, I'm really in control of what's happening. It's not like old school CrossFit type stuff where they were killing people.
Right. So here, let me give the tweet a little more context. So one, it's actually funny. So it's the guy who tweeted it is actually I'm pretty sure he's a physical therapist. His name is Aaron Horschig. He's actually a really nice guy, but his his Twitter name is Squat University. And so, and this is, we had a really nice exchange, actually, kind of private message afterwards. He was like, well, it's tough to get context, on Twitter. But my thing is when something named Squat University says something to the effect of, people need to lift heavy, that to me is more of a old school interpretation. Like people need to be squatting or deadlifting. I look at that and think that's like the rip-toe starting strength kind of philosophy. And I would look at that and say, if we're thinking, it depends on how we define lifting heavy. But if we define lifting heavy as, front or back squats, barbell bench press, barbell deadlift kind of thing, I'm like, I don't know if I'm a fan of lifting heavy. If we define lifting heavy as, looking at sort of the Alex Natera information and thinking that when I'm on one leg, I'm at 1 times body weight, and that's heavy, then maybe I am a fan. My whole thing, and the reason I do this is I want to call attention to people to try to create more context, because I think what happens is people read this, these, and this is, I've said this on Twitter to people before, people read what they want to read on Twitter. They create their own context for what I say or for what you say. So I think we need to be clear with what we wanted to say. Instead of I get into not disagreements, but discussions with people all the time who say, well, that's not what I meant to say, or that's not what I wanted to say. And I'm kind of like, well, I think that was how what you said was interpreted or would be interpreted. So that was my kind of, and it was just, that was my objection. I'm like, I don't know about, I'd be very, it's kind of like with people, just do body weight stuff. Well, I'm like, body weight upper body stuff is heavy. Body weight lower body stuff is heavy, depending on how much you weigh and depending on what your strength to body weight ratio is. We were talking about this in our staff meeting the other day. In general, push-ups tend to be about 70% of body weight, which means if you take a 200-pound guy and he's doing push-ups with 140 pounds. You might look at that and think that's heavy if that 200-pound guy is 45 years old and hasn't exercised before. He might be much better off, flipped over and doing dumbbell benches with 40s. So I guess I am trying to create conversation. I'm not really trying to create arguments, but I'm trying to create conversation around things. Because people do it to me, well, you're generalizing, right? You're always generalizing. You're always putting things in absolutes. And I'm like, I am, absolutely, because I believe in absolutes. I believe in whatever guardrails, guidelines, however we want to look at this. And I would like other people to do that too, instead of when we have the conversation, it being, well, people didn't really understand what I meant. And I'm thinking, okay, we need to probably do a better job of clarifying. I did it with Joe Terry. I did it with the depth jump thing. He tweeted out something like, that is sick. That's like crazy athletic. And I was like, I literally private messaged him and I was like, you can't glorify that stuff on the internet, because people now trust you for training advice. They're following you for information, and you just basically said this was a good idea. And he was kind of like, oh yeah, I can see that. He made like the response most of the time too. And I've been taking more to like private messaging people when I disagree with them, after I disagree with them, and saying, hey, here's why I disagreed. Here's why I posted something to the contrary. And people are generally really receptive to it, and are much more receptive to it when you add that private message component to it. Because, rather than, hey, I'm trolling you and I think you're a jerk, it's, I took some exception to your viewpoint and I want you to understand why. And in a private message, I can I can tell you why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that too. I think, especially with Joe, it's like, Joe, coach wouldn't email you or DM you if he didn't love you, if he didn't respect what you're already doing and the influence that you have. So, yeah, you're right.
With all these guys is that when you become an influencer, you take on a responsibility. And a lot of people are trying really hard to become influencers, And then suddenly, they get, okay, now I got 5,000 followers, I got 10,000 followers or whatever, but you've got 5 or 10,000 people who believe what you say. So now you have to be that much more careful about what you say and how you say it, because something can be taken out of context now, not by one person in a conversation, but by 5,000 or 10,000. Like if you look at my, my Twitter following is 55,000 people, right? If I say something, 55,000 people see that. On Instagram, if I say something on Instagram, 100,000 people see that, potentially anyway. And you have to realize that, I'm trying to think of, the quote, but it's basically like with great reach comes great responsibility, and if you're starting to develop some reach, then you have to start being more responsible for your tweets or your posts or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Well, let's stay on the heavy thing and just go to the trap bar deadlift, because that is a bilateral exercise that you're using, that you feel is safe, and I think a lot of people are using out there. For you, what would be heavy? Do you have standards? Do you have general standards to say, yeah, guys, we're not going above two times body weight twice body weight. Once we get there, we're done. Do you have anything that you say with the trap bar deadlift?
Well, in general, we do not trap bar deadlift our adults, because I'm just not, across the board, I'm not comfortable with that. If people want to do trap bar deadlift with their personal training clients who are adults, I'm open to that, and I will not object to it. But I have objected to it in our adult program, so it's not in our adult program. We will have kettlebell deadlift for beginners up to, and our standard was always up to the heaviest kettlebell. So, we'd go think, I don't even know, we might have a 40 or a 44 or something like that. But that basically means that, 100 and something pounds. Because again, the problem, I would say the problem with heavy deadlifting or heavy squatting is that it only takes one rep for things to go drastically wrong. And I've never seen that in unilateral work. Like I've never seen a unilateral exercise where you think somebody goes for that last rep and then bang, they're on the floor, with some kind of back spasm, and you got to kind of cart them out of the room sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I've seen that numerous times, unfortunately, over the course of my career in bilateral exercise.
But that's
so
really,
we just don't do.
Yeah, for you though, you're mostly saying that, like, let's clarify. When you say your adult program, you're saying that only because it's a group training, and you allow your staff to do it one-on-one because they can now monitor, they know what they're lifting, and they're kind of using that progression.
Yeah, you don't have to try to coach 8. If you're trying to coach 8 adults in the trap bar deadlift, I don't feel like that's going to go well. And if it doesn't go well, it can be problematic. And so that's the differentiator. But if you're looking at trap bar deadlift, it's strong. I mean, I think the standard right now that, if you sort of see what gets bantered around the internet, 2 times body weight strong. Some people might tell you, from an athlete standpoint, 3 times body weight is, once you hit 3 times body weight, you don't need to go beyond that. And I would say the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. I would say our athletes can easily do 2 times body weight for reps. Our pros that are, our college kids, it's not unusual. If I look at even, I always go back to like Mark and his friends, but Mark and his friends just did like 315 or 335 or something for 3 or 4. So they're all in like the double body weight category in their sophomore year of high school. And it was hard, like grindy, like I didn't like all the reps kind of look, but I'd look at that and think, okay, that's, the thing I'm looking at now in this, you probably haven't seen Alex Matera's talk on the MBSC Winter Seminar. Did you watch those talks?
No, I did not.
So the one thing I'm realizing now is that we really need to like hammer 1 leg straight leg deadlift, slide board lunge, 1 leg squat, skater squat for strength. Those 4 things. I'm realizing I'm moving away from the rear foot elevated idea, because what we've realized with rear foot elevated is people get to a point where it becomes almost a 2-leg exercise as they try to get more and more load. Whereas, if we look at like skater squat, one leg squat, slide board lunge, one leg straight leg deadlift, there's really limited possibility for you to cheat to try to lift more weight. Whereas with rear foot elevated split squat, you'll have people walk away and be like, man, my back hip flexor is killing me. They're pulling so hard, on the bench or the stand or whatever we're using, that it becomes, so it's almost one of those, like, it's useful to a point. Whereas those other four, I think, are going to be useful for a much longer term. And with those exercises, I would say 50% of body weight's pretty strong. Like if you get someone, who can handle 50% of their body weight in a one leg squat, they're really, I wouldn't say pretty strong, they're really strong. If they can skate or squat 50% of their body weight, they're really strong. If they can slide board lunge 50% of their body weight, they're really strong. So I think those are the areas where we can safely pursue this idea of lifting heavy with a lot more safety.
Yeah, I can say I kind of followed that with my hockey player, with Dante. And, I just went a little bit above, kind of like what we're Mark and the boys are, a little over 2 body weight. I was like, we don't need to go any higher, because then it takes away time from the single leg stuff, and I didn't want to do that. And I can tell you, because he really kicked butt. He stayed home from Kent the first semester, and we worked out 3 times a week. And then January he was doing 4 times because he didn't have to skate, and he started again 2 weeks ago back to Kent, and he is really feeling strong. When you get a kid that texts you and says, hey, I'm feeling strong out there, that's rare for me anyway, like that a kid says that. And he's feeling really good out there, so I'm pretty happy with the way that went.
No, I think, and the difference is you've just got a lot more wiggle room with kids because the tissue is better. There's just, I always go back to like the filet mignon beef jerky analogy. But I think it's a really good analogy for people to look at and think about, like, when you've got that adult client, in general, you've got a beef jerky kind of client. It's kind of hard, crusty, dehydrated sort of person. When you've got these young kids, I always laugh, like they're living on Dr. Pepper and Chick-fil-A, and they're just perfect. They one day they're hurt, the next day they're better. That doesn't happen with adults. And I think that's the difference when you start talking about adults, is there are all of these other things that begin to add up.
Very cool. I agree. Coach, let's finish up with what we're doing with everyone else today on the Hit the Gym with the Strength Coach segment. And we've talked about this before, but I wanted, because we're doing it in this episode, I wanted everyone to kind of get that refresher with the one thing that you've changed because of COVID, that you worked on, that you said, hey, oh my God, this is really good. We love this. We're keeping this. I don't care. We went back to 100% tomorrow. This is what we're keeping. What is that?
It's the whole pod idea, groups of 8, the whole kind of traffic flow that we've created. I think we're a much better business now in terms of our ability to serve our customer than we were before. And so, as I keep saying to everybody, because some people, obviously, Bob, my business partner, sometimes will be like, oh, it'd be great, we can get bigger groups. I'm like, nope, not happening. We're not going. We're going to keep doing it exactly the way we're doing it right now. The quality of what we're doing right now might be the highest that we've ever had. And it is directly a result, because, you get tempted to take on more people. You get tempted to make the groups bigger. You get, money is tempting, right? So now that we've got this system set up the way that it is, we're going to stick with that system. And, it's funny because people are already starting about, well, what about can we go with 9 if they're siblings and they can share a lane and they can share? And I can kind of live with that idea, thinking that, maybe we'll have 9, maybe we'll have 10. But I don't see it. I don't see us wanting to get beyond that, because the ability to coach, like we've really done a good job of trying to get all the pods set up. I actually just ordered, you'll appreciate this, I had to order like a kettlebell rack, like a single kettlebell rack, and it hasn't come in yet. And I'm going to see if it serves the purpose, because I would like each pod to have 3 kettlebells, maybe like like a 20, a 24, and a 16, or a 16, a 20, and a 24, some sort of combination, because one of the things we can't do right now to a great degree are kettlebell exercises, because we don't have enough kettlebells to spread across 8 pods. And now, if we can get 8 racks or maybe even 4 racks, so they're in between 2 pods, and be able to have a kind of an array of kettlebells, that might allow us to have a little more latitude. We were talking the other day about trying to find more exercise options for the adults, and people came up with some great stuff. We could do single arm swings. We could do, trying to think what the other kettlebell, there was another kettlebell one. And I was like, forget, like, no kettlebell exercises, no sandbag exercises, because we don't have the capability to go across 8 pods with, the amount of kettlebells that we need or the amount of sandbags that we need. So we can't look at those as being kind of big primary parts of what we're doing right now. Eventually, if we decide that's the case, then we've got to order a lot more stuff and figure out how do we store it in each pod. There's just a lot more logistics, but I really love the logistics part. So it's been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, what's cool, what I found over these 13 people that are coming up, we have people like, Elspeth Vino, she was an engineer, and like Rick Mayo, Kendall Green, I mean, all talking about the efficiency. People like, TJ Lopez and Rhonda, Catt, and Nate VanKouwenberg, Guy Massey, Dan Goodman, all talking about like eliminating things and having better quality. It's really interesting that here's these people that were already good at what they do and have just gotten better. And I think it's a great lesson for today's show. So, Coach, thanks for doing this, and we're going to talk to you next week.
Great. I'm looking forward to listening to that one myself.
All right, everyone, a reminder, the Perform Better app is live. It features amazing presentations from this year's virtual summer seminar series, as well as some top presentations from their earlier functional training summits. It features education from some of the world's best trainers, coaches, and therapists. Guys, it's free. Go to either Apple Store or Google Play. You can download that app and check it out. They've done a great job with really each webinar, each lecture is broken down, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. So they broke them into segments, so you don't need to like sit there for an hour and 15 to watch it all. So it's pretty cool. Also, they're doing now a weekly webinar series coming up on February 23rd. Lee Taft is going to be doing the power of running camps and clinics to grow your business. In the upcoming weeks, we have Lee Burton and Michelle Dalcourt, so you can check them out at performbetter.com, where you can also find out about the latest sale at Perform Better.
Welcome to the Certified Functional Strength Coach segment on the Strength Coach podcast. My name is Brendan Rearick, and today I will be sharing with you the 7th and final segment of our Movement as Medicine series. Last week, Coach Kevin Carr spoke about exercise and brain health. In this episode, we're going to talk about what the statement, consistency is king and moderation is queen, you need both to make lasting change, means. People who are healthy and strong and successful got that way by making decisions that help them get 1% better each day. Their health, strength, and success was not the result of one singular workout or meal. It is the result of consistent decisions that created them. Consistent inputs compounded over time. When asked what the best rep scheme was for building muscle and losing fat, my good friend and trainer Charlie Reed said, 3x52. Train hard 3 times per week, 52 weeks per year, and you'll reach any goal you have. Again, consistent inputs compounded over time. What might those inputs be? Consistently showing up to your workouts, prepping your meals each week, planning and journaling your workouts, maintaining quality sleep habits, proactively managing stress. These may seem trivial, but they anchor you to your goals and build equity in your health. Equity in your health works like equity in your house. You want to get as much equity in your health as you can when it's easy to do so. When you're feeling good, you're not swamped with work, you're in a routine at home. Because at some point, you're going to need to draw on that equity. When the holidays roll around and you're sleeping less and eating more, when you're traveling and not able to maintain your health routines, or when you're overwhelmed with stress, in these moments, you need something extra to draw on. That extra comes from the equity that you put in your health while things were more relaxed and you were in a consistent routine. Small diversions from the norm won't throw you off track if you have consistent, healthy patterns to support you and come back to. Batting 800 is pretty damn good. The key is to continually make deposits. No one is perfect all the time, but by and large, the successful ones have been investing in their position for years and will continue to do so through all seasons. Consistency is king and moderation is queen. What do I mean by moderation? More is not better. Stress is good until it's not. If you pile on too much of anything, at some point you'll experience diminishing returns. Overly aggressive, unplanned, and dysfunctional exercise can be equally as damaging as not exercising at all. Moderation makes consistency easy. It's hard to be consistent if you're doing workouts at 120% effort each time you step into the gym. It's hard to be consistent when you only allow yourself to eat chicken and rice and nothing else. We're human beings. We can be consistent within a range, but it's nearly impossible to be consistent at one set point, an extreme. When it comes to exercise, focus on moderately progressive exercise that prioritizes quality of movement. When it comes to nutrition, focus on eating around whole, minimally processed foods while allowing yourself to enjoy the simple pleasures of comfort food and sweets every once in a while. Consistent exercise done in moderation, combined with eating habits rooted in whole, minimally processed foods, has been shown to 1. Reduce all-cause mortality. 2. Reduce depression and anxiety symptoms. 3. Improve activities of daily living and reduce functional limitations with aging. 4. Improve insulin sensitivity. 5. Reduce heart disease and CVD-related deaths. 6. Reduce risk of sports-related injury. 7. Reduce blood pressure. 8. Improve immune system function. 9. Improve neuroplasticity and release of brain-derived neurotropic growth factor. 10. Reduce systemic inflammatory markers. The message we need to hear and we need to remind our clients of is consistency is king and moderation is queen. You need both to make lasting change. That's going to do it for this episode. Check out certifiedfsc.com/blog for more information on the systemic benefits of consistent exercise. Please also review the citation and studies that accompany the article to make your own informed decision. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is Adam.
This is Tim.
Welcome to the Trainhook Data-Driven Coaching segment.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Today, we're going to talk a bit about the intersection of data and business, because we've got a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But Tim, why don't you tell us about what precipitated this conversation?
Yeah, so a question we get asked, or I get asked specifically, almost day in and day out at this point in time. We're working with a lot of new coaches who are entering the remote coaching world and want to sell their products and their offerings through the Trainhook marketplace. And one point that's always, a little bit tough to talk about, but it's a hot topic is price point, right? And we're really talking about product or offering value. How the coach always asks, how do I know what my product is worth? Or how do I know what my people think the product is worth? So that's what really matters. Will people click on the button if they see a this price point compared to another one? So it's my job to kind of navigate them and guide them through that conversation to find what price point is sticky and what price point will get people in the door. And we do actually have some data to back up where we drive and how we drive people to make those decisions.
Yeah, so this is tough to do because every product inhabits its own niche, right? So you have to consider your own case and how much money the people you're serving have, and what problem you're solving. There's all kinds of stuff. But we can talk about the general Train Heroic case because we have a lot of different products in our marketplace.
Sure.
So over time, what we've seen, there are a couple of signals, that kind of point in a direction here. And one is that, there's three actually. One is that we just don't have that many teams above $30 a month that have gotten really big.
Yeah.
Right. We have some that have been successful, meaning like they have existed for some time and they've had, I think when I was looking at this, I was looking at teams with over 100 lifetime members, which is kind of a lot, but not crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, when you look at those, that is number one, there's kind of a little bit of a dearth of data over there. There's a cluster 20 to 30. We have a lot of things between $10 and $30 a month.
Sure.
When you do look at the products that did pretty well above $30 a month, there's a couple things you see there. One is, well, they actually seem to be kind of specialized. They're not general, right?
Yeah.
So that's an indication that, hey, maybe if you're good at serving a niche population, right, you can sell this team for more than someone else who does like general bodybuilding, because it's you and 900 other people in that case, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if you serve a certain population who really needs your solution, then there's probably, an avenue for you there. And for example, like we've seen some Masters Olympic weightlifting. Like, that's a special group. And if you do well with them, like number one, they're by definition older, they're 35 plus, right? You're aiming at people with jobs, that helps.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's that. And when you look at these teams, those teams that have, been around and done a little bit, their churn rates do appear. And again, it's a little hard to say this with a lot of confidence, but it looks like it, that their churn rates are a little lower than overall.
Sure.
And that sounds like a really good thing. And it is. It means once you get people that you're keeping them.
Mm-hmm.
But in combination with something else, I think it means that those price points actually do also filter out people who don't want to pay that much.
Totally.
And that is that when we look at how people search for things in the marketplace, and we have data on this because we can see how people are filtering all that stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing we see is that about half the time when someone sets a filter on price, they say, hey, I want to show me a max price of no more than whatever. About half the time that's set at $30, which means that about half the time somebody sets one of those things, they're just throwing out stuff above $30 a month anyway. Now that doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't even happen most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's an indication that in people's minds, there's a pretty strong, valuation of these types of products there.
Yeah.
There's another little bump at 20 actually. So, some people actually think that they want to look at things below $20 a month.
Yeah.
And so again, with all these things taken into mind, I think you'd have to have a pretty special argument to go far above $30 a month. I think that's really what I would say. It doesn't mean you can't. It means if you're solving something really awesome or offering extra services on top of the programming community and all that, you might be able to do it. But if you're going for raw numbers, above $30 a month is going to be tough, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell coaches this at the very beginning is you have to make sure your price is aligned with your goals, right? If you want thousands of athletes or 50% of all Equinox gym goers to do your training, $50 price point probably ain't the deal, right? And you have to think about that in your head. What's my target? Do I want more athletes that pay less, or do I want fewer athletes who get more value possibly out of this with technique breakdown and personalized coaching and nutrition guides and things of whatever the heck you can send people? And those will be fewer people, but they're paying a more premium price for that. But understanding your audience, Adam, that's something we've kind of dived into in previous episodes, is paramount here. Knowing what value they get out of your training, why they're using the Train Heroic app. It's easy, it's accessible, and it connects them to a world-class community, essentially for a price that doesn't break the bank. It's simple. And I think those are things you have to hone in on and understand when you're entering this new market.
Yeah, and I think that's important that, if you have 10 people it's going to be hard to sell them a team at enough to make you a lot of money.
Right.
So you probably try to sell them more personalized services. That's the way that game works. But when we're talking to people who do have, a larger business or some social media following or some way of building this demand, prices becomes really important because it's a numbers game.
Yeah, it totally is. Make sure your target and your goals align with that price point and your audience willing to pay it.
That's going to do it for us today. Go to trainheroic.com to start your 14-day free trial. We've got some new pricing in there, starting as low as $9.99 to suit any kind of coach.
Welcome to the Fit to Speak segment. My name is Jenny Rearick, and today I'm going to talk about how to pick the best medium for sharing your message and how to use it in the most effective way. We're on the fourth segment of my series on communication as a system. The system of communication is made up of 4 overarching elements. Those include, in order, a communication assessment, message organization, message translation, and then finally, 4th, delivery. Today, we're going to focus on that 3rd element, message translation. I'm going to tell you what it is, why it's important, and then give you some strategies and techniques to guide you when putting this information into action. Message translation is about choosing what you're going to use to share your message and how you're going to use it. Many of us default to whatever communication medium we're most comfortable with, whether that be email, text message, in-person conversation, maybe pre-recorded video, a phone call, or social media. This isn't wrong, but you'd see better results if you made a conscious decision based on your audience and the context of the scenario. For those of you listening that are coaches, it's the same process you follow when deciding what exercises to program or drills to do in practice. Ultimately, you choose what your clients or athletes need. You fit the program to the person. How you share your message is no different. You need to choose the medium that works best for the specific person or people you're communicating with, and then know how to execute on that medium to its full potential. Why is this important? Because time, place, and medium play a dominant role in how your communication is received. But this isn't new news to you. It's why you don't call your clients at 2 a.m. to reschedule a morning session, but you might instead text them. It's why you don't do your client's intake assessment over email, but instead you choose to do it in person or over a call, because you understand that that communication demands personal interaction. I'm going to take you through the basics of 3 frequently used mediums, and I'll write about a couple of others in the supplementary PDF, which can be found on my website. In this segment, we're going to look specifically at text messaging, emailing, and phone calls. Text messaging. Texting is great for sending short messages that aren't urgent and don't involve emotional-based content, such as sharing bad news, giving feedback, or confronting someone about an issue. The big thing with texting is to be sure whoever you're texting with, that they're comfortable with that medium. Some people prefer to do everything over text, whereas others see texting as too personal or too casual. How do you know? You ask. And if you do choose to text, here are a few tips for texting. Try to send as few messages as possible. Instead of sending 3 separate texts, combine them into one longer text that's formatted. This will limit the annoyance of the pinging and vibrating on the receiver's end. Avoid using acronyms and abbreviated language. Unless you're absolutely certain that this person will know what you mean with an acronym or an abbreviation, just take the extra few seconds to spell things out. And finally, when texting, add feeling through the use of emojis and punctuation. Texting lacks all body language and voice tone, so it can be easy for someone to misinterpret the intent of your message. Effectively communicating over text requires you to add some emotional clarity. Let's talk about emailing. Emails are best for messages that have substantial detail and ones that you might want a written record of. Email makes it easy to keep a group of people in the know without having to synchronize schedules. Today, emailing would be considered semi-formal, and here are a few tips I recommend you follow if you're going to use email as your medium for communication. Enter the recipient's email address last, just before you're ready to hit send. This will reduce the chance of you accidentally sending an email that's partially complete or worse, includes things that you had planned to edit out. Put your main point up front. Write what the point of your email is or what you want the person to do with the information you're sharing in the first 2 to 3 sentences. And finally, read it out loud before you hit send. You'll catch more content and grammar errors reading your emails out loud than you would if you were to read them in your head. And finally, let's look at phone calls. Phone calls are preferable for communication if real-time communication is available to both you and the receiver, meaning you're available at the same time. They're preferable because they're much more personal, and the person on the other end can use your vocal cues to better interpret your message. Also, phone calls can save time. Why email or text back and forth multiple times when you can accomplish that same task with a single quick phone call? Here are a few tips for phone calls. Know what you want to say. Be prepared with your message. Get to your point. Unless it's a personal call, prioritize not wasting the other person's time. They'll let you know if they've got some extra time for small talk. Stay focused on the conversation. It's easy to multitask when you're on a call, but people almost always sense that, either because you're delayed in your responses or your reactions to what they say are muted because you weren't really paying attention. And finally, summarize the most important things before you hang up. If you agreed to something, restate that at the end of the call and confirm everyone's in agreement. You can take it one step further and send a recap email after the call if there were multiple next steps. That's what I have for you today. If you liked what you heard and you want access to a PDF that details what you just listened to, along with additional tips on other communication mediums, visit the Fit to Speak website, www.fit-to-speak.com. On the website, you can also get more information about one-on-one coaching and upcoming online courses and one-day live events.
All right, now it's time for the Naamly Hit the Gym with the Strength Coach segment, brought to you by Naamly, the ultimate retention tool designed specifically for fitness coaches and gyms to help your members stay longer and pay longer. Go to Naamly.com, Naamly.com. You can schedule a demo to get a feel for what you can do with this incredible tool. Use the referral code Strength Coach and you'll get started on a free 30-day trial to check it out. All right. So like I said earlier, this is a compilation kind of interview podcast. I asked 13 gym owners what was one thing that COVID changed in your business that was positive and that you're keeping. So I was looking for some positive changes since the shutdown and something that they changed because of the shutdown that they're keeping because it's a better way of doing things. And look, this was not a I'm home with family more type of a thing, which is great. And I wanted, I'm happy for people that happened, but I really wanted you guys to get something out of this from a practical standpoint, and wanted them to give like a practice that they change in their business that has affected the business in a positive manner. So we have 13 gym owners, and I'm going to interject every couple segments here, every couple little answers, and just kind of give you some of my takeaways and what I really liked about what they said. So here we go.
Hi there, this is Mark from Mark Fisher Fitness in New York City and businessforunicorns.com. Our situation, like many gym owners in New York City, has been very interesting this past year. For some context, we were shut down completely for about 6 months. And now, nearly a year later after the initial shutdown, we are still prohibited from offering classes in New York City. And as I think probably most people know, New York City, because of its clustering of buildings and because of its temperature, is not really fit to do much outdoor training, at least not at scale. Now, although that has been a challenge, the real positive impact for us is because New Yorkers had such a go of it, I think are even more reticent to return to in-person training. And that means that our online platform, which is 2A Zoomed coached workouts, has done really, really well. And in fact, is currently as big as we've ever been for total number of class ninjas, and at the same price point with a model that has a lot more capacity and that frankly is a lot easier and cheaper to run. Now, this has been very positive in a lot of ways. I don't mean to dismiss or sugarcoat the other very real challenges we've had, but what has been amazing about this is this, I think, is going to be a lasting, at least revenue stream for us. Now, the future is uncertain, like everyone else. I don't know the way this is going to shake out in a year. I suspect there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand for in-person training. So while our in-person training is back for very restricted semi-private training, we are fortunate in that because our landlord has given us a break, that's actually tenable for the foreseeable future. So even though most of the business now, most of the revenue is coming from online offerings, and not just the Zoom classes, but also our 6-week makeover program, Snatch in 6 weeks, is now totally offered online. And in fact, we've just today, as of this recording, offered a new accountability coaching program that functions as a higher priced add-on for people that want highly individualized daily accountability support and quote unquote caseworker style coaching and oversight of their entire training, nutrition, and recovery regime. So we're very bullish on this being a revenue stream forever. Now, what I don't know is when the world comes back online, if there's a flight back to in-person, which I think is a non-zero chance, my assumption is that the homebody or virtual class platform will likely see a dip, but will still be large enough to be a reasonable enough revenue stream that it absolutely makes sense to keep it going as one thing that we can offer people. Alternatively, I could also see homebody continuing to grow because our niche is so very, very specific. I think it's different from a lot of other people's offerings. And I think, quite frankly, we do a great job of offering a good fitness product. It's not the best programming in the world. I'm the first to admit that. It is offered online with 35 people at a time with a kettlebell. So there are some meaningful limitations, but I think we're doing a great job with it. And if we could scale it up to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, I'd be pleased as punch. But we are, of course, keeping our in-person footprint and location. And then in the world that floats back down, I think it will remain a useful and important revenue stream and a way to serve more people. And we will simply pivot and focus more of our attention to taking advantage of the commercial real estate opportunities in New York City. So that's where we're at. Lots of challenges, but definitely some positive things. If you want to follow up with me for more questions, come find me at mark@markfisherfitness.com. Always available to answer some bullet pointed questions for you. And of course, if you are interested in finding out more about MFF, you can go to markfisherfitness.com, maybe even sign up for the trial, do the trial and figure out what we're doing so you can model it. And you can also go to businessforunicorns.com if you want any help or ideas or learning about how to be more successful with your training gym.
Hi, this is Eugenia Bradshaw from BP Fit, a small family-owned business in Long Island, New York. The biggest change we had at BP Fit Coaching because of the shutdown and COVID was to develop our online coaching and virtual training. Prior to this, we didn't really concentrate on that. We didn't concentrate much on our online marketing, but this forced us to think outside the box. And what we noticed is that our clients really like it. It's expanding the people who we can reach. It's expanding what we can offer and what we do offer now. It's taking us to different avenues, which we didn't have before. What we noticed is that our clients, the ones that were uncomfortable coming in, and we focused mainly on small groups and one-on-one training, we had to figure something out. So we started with just Zoom and virtual one-on-one, and then realized in order for us to keep going in this current time, we had to expand. So what we did is we developed a platform, and off of that platform, it helped us organize our business into promoting our online nutritional coaching, online one-on-one, online group training, and most currently, we're working on some ebooks for relaxation, for nutrition, for fitness, just expanding it to a whole new level, like a wellness program. Because of the current times, it forces you to think what's actually going on and how to keep your body healthy, and we want to be part of that. So this has had a definite positive impact on us. So we are definitely keeping it, and we're definitely expanding our business. So if you want to find out more about us, on our website, bpfit.com, or you can check us out on Instagram at bpfitcoaching. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Mike Ranfone here of Ranfone Training Systems in Hamden, Connecticut, as well as Ranfone Performance Consulting, which oddly enough came out of some of the things that I will talk about today during the pandemic and created the need to create a secondary business for myself and some staff. So I think the big thematic underpinning of this is get as close to the revenue as possible. And this is something that I was always doing, but I got away from it because when you get fat and happy, you lose track of some of the details that really has created and driven you to be at a place of success. So, when the pandemic hit, which I don't think is unique to myself, I think a lot of gym owners and business owners felt this, is that the pie became really small very quickly. So the importance of making decisions, the quality of our business is then predicated off of that decision making, and the long-term success of the business will be always based off of informed decision making. So to me, it was all about getting back to the numbers to get as close to the revenue as possible and really understand the objective aspects and profile of my business so that I can indeed make good decisions for myself, my staff, and the clientele that we serve. So getting more tactical, I think it's really important to look at your gross revenue, your gross cost, your margins, your net. So if you don't have that readily available to you every day and know what your numbers look like, just get in the habit of doing that. Because once you understand what you're really making, what the business is taking, and what you're taking home, you can start the process of breaking down your business into components or core functions. And then you have this pipeline effect to not only understand where the numbers are, but where they come from. So if you look at most business structures, there's two basic sides of it. You have your acquisition side and then your fulfillment side. So in the beginning, and again, you can break these down. These are just what I look at. On the acquisition side is obviously our lead gen, our lead nurture, and up to sales, because at the point of sale, they actually become a client. And then we have to focus our attention on fulfillment and retention. And then, of course, the kind of the tertiary function of operations, which is not a core service, but it does support your service. And no business wants to lose any business because their gym is a mess, or the cleanliness, or your online platform has the wrong videos. So you can get as granular as you want with these core functions. Again, lead gen, nurture, sales, fulfillment, retention, and ops, and then figure out where your access points, whether that be a functional access point or a structural access point, so that you can leverage your decision making into creating more revenue or create a different revenue stream, is really important, especially at this point where a lot of gyms are being struck very hard and are either closing or changing their business model. But if you really understand the numbers and where you can benefit from, it's not guesswork, because these things are objective. They don't care about your emotion. They don't care there's a pandemic going on. You can have a very good understanding of what can help you either change a component of your business model or change the business model itself to better equip you with prosperity, outside of just charging more, which is not a bad decision. But instead of guessing at what the decision is, you can have a really good understanding and feel very confident in the decision-making process. So looking at the numbers was the number one thing that I had always done, but gotten away from it because when good times, you care less about it. But when things became somewhat thin, we had to really take a look at how the business was operating. And we made some massive changes with our pricing model, with our onboarding sequence, with our nurture cadence, the sales itself, and how we fulfill. And I feel as though we made very good decision-making off of these things, because right now we're seeing the benefit of making those changes and understanding maybe the time, the sequence, as well as the impact it would have on our business. So that's what I have for you. If you want to know more, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Just look up Michael Ranfone or at my business page, Ranfone Training Systems. Thank you.
Hi, this is Christa Doran from Tough Girl Fitness in Hamden, Connecticut. when our gym was shut down for more than 3 months in March of last year, we pivoted to support our members virtually because we were unable to support them in person at our gym. And very frankly, we didn't know how many people would come back once we were able to reopen. So this was super scary as a business owner, not knowing if all your members were going to cancel their membership and you would be out of revenue. So we quickly pivoted and shifted to virtual classes, which did really well. And this combined with really streamlined spending. So we cut our overhead, we cut down some rent, we laid off and cut back our employees and really tightened up our spending, which we will keep moving forward now that we're open. But we realized that so many people really loved the accessibility of the virtual classes that we were offering. And so we are actually in the process of developing a virtual platform to give people more accessibility to us. And people are moving more and getting just the support they need to increase their bandwidth and create some space in their day through fitness and exercise and the messaging that Tuff Girl provides. So I would say that still about half of our members are only training virtually with us. Our gym is reopened and we are running classes at a significantly reduced capacity, but we realize the opportunity in this virtual way of interacting with our customers. So we will be continuing that this year, along with that really tightened spending that really the cutbacks we made, we are going to carry through. I think you realize what you can cut back when you're really held to the fire. So we're going to take what we learned last year and carry it with us. If you have any questions or you'd like to learn more about Tuff Girl, you can learn more about us on our social media channels, which is Tuff Girl Strong, or at Tuff, Tuff, girlfitnessct.com. Thanks so much.
All right, so just to recap here, and if we look at from the perspective of all four of them, I think of it as like really new offerings. Mark Fisher, really successful program called Snatch Group Fitness, and they had to pivot that into a Zoom thing, which they probably never thought would happen and would be as successful because of their personalities as well. Just it does lend itself to a live performance, and then coming up with accountability coaching and kind of reframing what people are doing. I love that. Eugenia, I love this idea about expanding the offering. So the ebook, nutrition coaching, and looking at it from an overall wellness perspective and thinking multiple revenue streams that way. Mike Ranfone, I love get as close to the revenue as possible. Re-looking at where you're spending money. And Mike was already doing that as well, but kind of like taking a step back and saying, wait a minute, maybe we've been doing some things. We need to take a look at some of the things we've been doing and make some cuts. And then, performance consulting came out of that. So completely different revenue stream that they built from the pandemic. Christa, Doran, I love that idea. Obviously, they have an amazing culture at Tuff Girl, and they were worried, like everybody else, are they going to come back? And they've been able to keep those people through the online training, and then also, I guess you could look at it like what cuts they did as well, and they decided, okay, we're going to have to cut back some staff, et cetera, and make some changes. So a really good start to this segment with some just new offerings, some cutbacks, and let's get on the phone with some more gym owners.
Hi, guys. This is Rick Mayo, CEO of Alloy Personal Training. I would say the biggest change that we've seen is actually in our service offerings. So, because of COVID, obviously consumer confidence in large crowds of people in a very small space is low. Because of that, thankfully, we had already pivoted before the pandemic to what we call small group personal training. An interchangeable term for that would be semi-private personal training. And so for the sake of this description, just think about anywhere from 2 to 6 people working with one coach, still being able to make the claim of personal training. So being able to personalize the programs for each person in the group by keeping them in groups of 6 or less, right? And we've tried 8 and 5 and 4, and we've been in business since 1992. And we've got 2,300 clubs that we work with worldwide through Alloy Personal Training Solutions, which is our licensing company. And so, as you can imagine, we've learned a lot. We've collected a lot of data over that time. And 6 seems to be the magic number where you can, with integrity, still claim to be offering personal training. Now, we had already gone here for competitive advantages. As you guys know, there's 1,000,001 hit franchises out there. And so, or hit concepts, whether it be boot camps or Orange Theories or the like, and all do a great job at what they do, but there's just a lot of them in market and they all chase the same customer avatar. So for us, we were already here in this small group setting before COVID hit. And luckily we were, because I can tell you that one of the reasons why we maintained our 97% month over month revenue was because of the fact that we had less people in the same space. And when I say that, I mean less people paying more money, right? So when you make the claim and it's on the front door of personal training, consumers automatically know that that's going to be a higher level service and they're willing to pay more for that, meaning that we don't need the same headcount as you would need in a group training or what we call team training brand promise, where you've got 15 to 30 people getting sweaty in a room, right? And so I would tell you that we've also helped many businesses through our licensing program transition during this time period from team to small group. So literally change the business plan, because I think everyone agrees coming out of this, at least for the foreseeable future, there's going to be much more consumer confidence in less people in the same space. So we're not on top of each other. We're not having to share equipment if possible. And we can literally just give each other a little bit of breathing room, quite literally. And so I would say that's what we've learned, is that we had gone there for competitive reasons already, but it's even more compelling now, more than ever, to look at transitioning your business into what we're calling small group training. And again, that would be one coach coaching 6 people with the brand promise of personal training. I hope this helps you guys. That's the biggest change that we've seen. Thankfully, we were there already, obviously just by pure luck and just for competitive advantages in the market. But now more than ever, it's going to be more relevant. If you guys need help, so if you need help transitioning your business or just connecting the dots or the software or the technology that we use to drive all of this, feel free to reach out to me, alloyfranchise.com, fill out the form. I'll get the message and I'll reach back out. We'll see if you can help you guys out. So I appreciate it. I hope that helps, and keep up the good fight. Thanks.
This is Elsbeth, gym owner from Custom Strength in Ottawa, Canada. And the biggest change we had at Custom Strength because of the shutdown was going from a free flow, everyone moving around and sharing equipment, to individual zones, as we call them. It required us to make a bit of an investment in terms of equipment, which was tricky to convince myself to do when we were losing money. But it turns out this has been a huge improvement, and we will stay this way forever. So far, the feedback from our clients has been that they actually much prefer it. They feel like their workout is more efficient. From my perspective, I love it because it gives me the opportunity to actually increase our revenue in the same space. Prior to the shutdown, we were looking at opening a second location as a means to deal with demand. And now we don't have to do that anymore, which means we get to basically, potentially double our revenue in the same location, just strictly out of efficiency. Obviously, we'll need to buy a little more equipment once things shut down to add to our zones. But this has been an incredible change for us, and we definitely won't go back. If you have any questions or want to check out Custom Strength, head over to customstrength.com.
Hi, this is Kendall Green from Green's Performance and Wellness in Williamsburg, Virginia. And the biggest change I've made at my facility and with my clients because of the shutdown is systemization. I've been able to systemize programming even further for them, where they can go right to their notebook or right to the board, wherever their workout may be, and they understand completely how it's set up, how it's organized, what they're expected to do, and how to get things done. Very seldom now am I adding new exercises or new protocols to their training programs, just because we can manipulate the different variables within the training program, whether it be rep sets, intensity, volume, what have you. We can manipulate those variables so new things aren't necessarily a priority for us. And we can still get, the same, if not better results because of that, because time is being utilized more effectively and more efficiently. Also, I've been able to systemize my operations from a managerial standpoint. And I can, I have the tasks I need to take care of each day, each hour, whatever it may be after each session, and get those things accomplished. Again, looking at the time factor, that was probably one of the biggest eye-opening parts of being in shutdown, was just how much time is available and how fast it can go by, right? So being able to optimize the time that I have as a gym owner and the time my clients and athletes have as patrons is probably the top priority for me now, is making sure they're getting the time they deserve, but they're also not staying longer than they need to. We don't have to have hour and a half, 2-hour workouts. We can get in really 45 minutes, get exactly what they need to get, and they can, get out, for the lack of a better term. It's giving them more ownership and autonomy of their training program, with their optimized time, just because they understand exactly what they need to do, how they need to do it, and how they need to attack and approach each exercise or each training session, to get the best out of it without me having to micromanage them and really focus on the more tedious aspects of training. I've been able to systemize really just a spreadsheet, essentially, of just a template, and can plug in where I need to, can manipulate things. And that might be simple and something somebody's already done, and I know they have done. But for me, it's really, really opened my eyes and really helped me out after coming out of shutdown, being able to utilize the time I have through organization, and moving on from there. And it's helped me grow. It's given me more time to do other things outside of either training clients and athletes or managing the business. It's giving me more time to look at other things that could help those areas or help something else in my life. And that's really been the biggest part of, getting out of quarantine, getting out of the shutdown, and continuing to run my business and push it in the right direction.
I think when we look at these three here that we just heard, the word that comes to mind for me obviously is efficiency, right? Elspeth is, by the way, former engineer. So if you didn't think she was efficient already, this is why you should always reevaluate things you do and take a look at things. And this is what Kendall did as well. Looking at his systems from the business perspective and from the programming perspective. Same thing with Rick, looking at what are we doing? How do we become more efficient? And it's not only in the pod style, it's also in the offerings. So I think it's something to really think about. Are you doing things as efficiently as possible?
Hey everyone, this is Dan Goodman from Varsity House Gym. For all fitness professionals, this has been an extremely trying year, but as they say, you either win or you learn. And after we got past the shock factor of being forced to close and all the sanctions and ramifications of COVID-19, once we regathered, we realized, hey, this is our one time to change or right the wrongs that we've done over the years and years that we've done business. And as all immature businesses, we've been in business since 2006. We had carried a lot of excess baggage throughout the years, and we simply didn't know how to cut ties with some of those processes. We used the pandemic almost as a crutch to make some of those long needed changes. The most simplest of changes that we made were We started as a large group training facility for both athletes and adults. We had a huge amount of density in terms of class options per day. Over the years, we layered in semi-private training and also private training. And then we housed all three of those offerings. It took a tremendous amount of horsepower to service all of those things and service them well. It required a lot of staff, a big crew, being open from 5:30 in the morning till 8 p.m., 5 days a week, Saturdays and Sundays. What we decided to do, and it's something that we had kicked around for a long time, was closing the facility for good on Sundays. And we did that. We were always worried that we were going to lose a ton of people when we did it. All we offered was large group training, a couple classes on Sundays, but it still required us to bring in a head coach, part-timer, a front desk administrator. The lights were on. People were using the facility, and it cost us a ton of money to run the facility on Sundays. We decided to cancel that, and we lost no members as a result of it once we reopened our doors. So something we should have done way sooner. Another thing that we did was we eliminated a lot of our large group class offerings. We still have them on the schedule, but we eliminated them from 34 to 18. And we're really focused on our semi-private training model. That is our core offering. That's what's baked into our onboard process. And that's what we want to be known for, because we know that that's the best possible service for people to obtain their goals the fastest at Varsity House Gym. And this was the catalyst for that change. So it enabled us to really hone in on our core offering, and it enabled us to close a facility 1 day a week, which has allowed our crew to be fresher, which has allowed the business to save some money in those fixed expenses and variable expenses. And overall, it's enabled our team to really feel good about the direction in which we're going, and has laid the foundation for what has been a great start to 2021 and hopefully the next 10 years for Varsity House Gym. If you have any specific questions for me, you could email me at dan@varsityhousegym.com, or you could check us out at varsityhousegym.com. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, this is TJ Lopez from Athletic Movement Protocol in Syosset, New York. We're a sports performance and personal training center that services many local athletes and adults in the Nassau County and surrounding areas. The biggest change we had at AMP because of the COVID-19 situation and the shutdowns which occurred last March was the inability to train large groups of athletes and hold events with many people in our space at one time. We're located in about 5,000 square feet, so the space was great to hold large clinics, and we could train up to 20 or 30 athletes at a time. Once this came down and we were shut down, and obviously we had to change things and the way that we did it, we realized that in many ways we weren't diversified enough in our business. So just like an investment portfolio, you want to make sure that you're not overexposed in one or two categories of your business, which, in many ways, this showed us that we were. So for strength coaches, for personal trainers, gym owners, and the like, we rely mainly on in-person interaction and training. So COVID was a very tough situation to overcome for us all. We decided to change many things in our business, including shortening our training schedule to allow for cleaning in between, offering more online support, focusing on improving our client communication process, and of course, cutting costs where we could. Some of the changes will stay with us, and frankly, they've made me a better business owner. In many ways, I was able to take a more objective look at our expenses and our inefficiencies as a business, which will allow us to be more profitable in the future. So many of the new changes will pretty much push us into the future. And with our better systems, we'll be better prepared for the constant evolution of our business and the fitness industry, in general. One notable complication that came about was our inability to run those large clinics and large groups with our partners in the community. We had been building relationships with local teams, local businesses, local organizations, where we would hold large groups. And in our space, obviously, we were pretty much capped in 5,000 square feet. We were pretty much capped at about 27 people. So that would not allow us to do the large groups like we had in the past. So we just recently decided to change the structure of our clinics and allow up to 10 people at a time. So this actually has given us a new way to communicate with our prospects and allowed us to be a little bit more individualized with our approach. So actually, this helped us convert more of our clients, and our conversion rate was better in these events because it was more intimate, and we were able to have a better communication process with those individuals once they came in our door. And it wound up being the ones that were most qualified were the ones that would actually show up. So I hope that this helped shed some light on ways to survive tough times, both current and in the future. And if you have any questions and you want to check out AMP, please follow us on Instagram at AMP_athlete, and you can shoot us a message there. All right. Have a great day and good luck.
My name is Rhonda Catt. I am co-owner of Training House in Vernon, British Columbia. Our target market is athletes and the very active general fitness population. So the biggest change that we've made due to COVID, we've actually made two major changes in our business model. First, we've left an unlimited model per month where you pay one monthly fee and just show up as many times as you want. We've changed that to a committed 1 to 3 times a week training model. This has allowed us to keep the very serious clients. The serious clients are the ones that want structure. They are committed. They book their appointment. They're going to show up. And because these individuals are much more committed and they're staying in a much more structured program, they're seeing greater results. So there's much more praise of your business coming from that because we all know that clients want to see change. This has also allowed us to increase our prices. So we've increased the price, and within each program, we've actually been able to fit more clients in. Our classes have max 12 people. And because of the structure and the layout of the classes, we can service them really, really well without them crossing over into each other's area. This brings us to number 2. So we've actually changed our class style into zones. So we have 4 zones, and within each zone is max 3 people. So within each zone, there is a dedicated structure of what they're doing. So that could be platform work, it could be squats, it could be dumbbell, whichever the goal is in the zone. Those individuals have their own equipment. Nobody is taking their equipment. There's no crossover. So not only is that safer because of COVID, but what we believe is after COVID, we think our clients are going to want us to maintain this zone style of training because they like the fact that nobody's going to come into their area or their zone and start taking their equipment, not realizing that it's being used. So it keeps things much more streamlined, much more clean, and much more safe. It's definitely easier to service this type of membership base because an unlimited model can actually grow bigger than what you want. It's much harder to service those people. So obviously they're less happy and it's easier for them to quit. So a committed 1 to 3 day a week is much more beneficial than an unlimited model. You can find Training House Vernon on all social media platforms. And best of luck to all business owners in 2021.
Hey guys, this is Nate VanKouwenberg with Next Level Strength Conditioning in Rochester, New York. Thanks a lot for having me, Anthony. Really looking forward to talking about how COVID and the shutdown did change our business for the better. So since shutdown, I think the biggest change that we've had was really prioritizing quality over quantity. Before shutdown, I think naturally we were really concerned with how many people were in the door at a time, what our capacity was, and really trying to jam the gym as much as possible, which is, I think, understandable. But since COVID, obviously we were shut down for several months, realizing that we could lose everything at the blink of an eye, really gave us the opportunity to bring a get to attitude to the facility every single day. And with that, when we were able to reopen, we did have a lot of really strict guidelines as far as how many people we could have at the facility at a time, starting in the summertime with only 7 people at personal stations. But since then, our state, New York, has mandated that we run at 30%. So since that time, we cut our capacity to traditionally about 20% less than our goal would have been before shutdown. And what we realized is that the quality has never been so good. So realizing that a packed gym looks good when it comes to dollars and cents, we did realize that the quality was suffering due to that many people in the facility at a time. So since the shutdown, we've realized that our capacity is much less than it was before to maintain quality. So really prioritizing quality over quantity, making sure that we have enough space and equipment and the ability to get through and really make connections to every single person in the facility at every single session. So since that time, despite having drastically less people in the facility, despite the fact that we've had to condense our staff, I am extremely confident that our quality has never been better. In the 15 years I've been doing this and the 8 years in our facility, the quality has been off the charts. Really focusing on, people first, quality first has been huge for us. So even when, the state does lift these restrictions, if they do, our capacity will stay where they are right now to prioritize quality. Again, the quality's been the best it's been. The demand has been, the best it's ever been because there's less spots in each session, and due to raising prices a little bit to make up for some of the cut capacity, our profits never been where it is right now as well. So bringing that get to attitude, both myself to every single day, our staff, and then every athlete that comes through our door, it's a privilege to train right now after being gone for so long. So even when mandates are lifted, we're going to stay where we are right now. So thanks again for having me. I really do hope everyone is getting through this time. And despite, some scary months and realizing that not everyone made it out of the situation, I really do feel like we're in a better place because of it. So I do hope that everyone keeps working and, everyone gets out through this okay. So if you want to learn more about what we do at Next Level Strength Conditioning, our website is train@nextlevel.com. Our Instagram is Next Level Rochester, and our Twitter is Next Level SCNY. So thanks again for having me. I wish everyone the best of luck.
Coach Massey here from Massey Machado Strength and Conditioning, M2 Speed, Strength and Performance. And I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity to speak briefly. I think it would take an entire podcast to say that how many positive changes that we've kind of been agile in making here at our facilities. But I would definitely say the one element or component that we had been considering previously to the advent of COVID, but the shutdown sort of forced us to make, was just our facility flow and our equipment utilization and assignments. So, for example, we had more of an open feel in a sense that sometimes equipment would be intermingled, barbells, trap bars, flexible barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, you name it. So it was kind of getting a little bit frustrating. And as we, went into the shutdowns, we were keeping hope. So we entered into the room and we got very proactive and said, okay, so now's the time. We've been forced to do this. So we came in and we now have what we call training communities and clusters, which have basically rack and equipment assignments that they utilize when they're training at the facility during their session. Think of it more so like a pod type system. People have their designated areas, their designated equipment, and there's really no commingling of equipment. Even if there are small groups, we do have plenty of equipment and we do have designated spaces now, or designated pods. I don't foresee us ever going back from that at all. It allows for really great facility flow. People report, and we've even segregated an area for soft tissue work, stretching, cool downs. We're fortunate enough to have another space in a different part of our facility where we can actually transition people and have enough space between people to afford them with an opportunity for both pre and post-training session, soft tissue work, foam rolling, stretching, cool down, without really compromising what we were very proud of, which was basically our community feel. And that was the first thing we became concerned about in basically segregating these pods or these equipment and training locations, and people not having an opportunity to cross over and talk. But that's how it is right now. People still can talk. They just don't really stay and congregate in the facility like they used to. Everyone's safety is paramount for us. So that's where we're going with this. We will probably not at all come back to the original design. We are trying to be really intelligent about affording people enough time to train and to feel safe with the equipment utilization. So all I can say to everybody out there is remain hopeful, be agile, make the necessary changes. There are plenty of changes that can be made where you can come out of this and have a very positive outlook. So I would recommend that you guys reach out to someone who has weathered a storm before. Certainly no one has weathered this particular storm before. Everybody's learning on the fly when it comes to this. Some people are becoming technicians again, winding back up on the floor like myself and just having to grind it out. And you know what? Don't look at it as grinding out. Look at it as changing your business trajectory in a positive way for the future, because this too shall pass. So we offer for you guys to reach out to us. Please reach out to us. Listen, an email's free. It takes me a couple of minutes to answer emails. I'll sift through them any way that we can help. So you would want to just email us at mmscny@gmail.com. That stands for Massey Machado, Strength and Conditioning, New York, @gmail.com. mmscny@gmail.com. Please don't feel funny. Just shoot an email. It could be a simple question. It could be a more involved question. Either way we go, we'll try to address it. We'll try to help you guys out. We don't know everything, but we're pretty certain that we do know some things, or we will at least provoke thought. Remember, guys, greatness is forged, not fabricated. It takes work. It doesn't just roll off an assembly line. So I just want to encourage you guys to reach out, and thank you for this time. That's your day.
Okay, so if we look at the last five now, I think the word that I come up with is elimination. You look at Varsity House Gym, Dan Goodman, and they're closing Sundays. I love that. And then they're going to eliminate large groups. And TJ Lopez, same idea, because those guys have some bigger facilities that they couldn't do the large groups anymore in New York. Both of them are located in New York. So they had to tone those things down. They had to eliminate things. And like TJ talked about, where can we cut costs? And I love that idea. And Guy Massey and I were talking about this recently on a phone call. And he mentioned it in his segment, is this idea of a lot of owners, if you ever read the E-Myth, going back to the technician, we've had to kind of cut down on staff, and we've had to do a little bit more, and hopefully that's temporary, so we can work more on our business, not so much as always in our business. But this idea of elimination, Rhonda, Catt, same thing at the training house. They had an unlimited policy, right? And now they have had to take that away and kind of really dial it in a little bit more. And same thing with Nate VanKouwenberg. They're looking at, look, hey, we've had to do less people. We're going at a quality over quantity thing. And this is what Coach Boyle was talking about as well in his response. So I think this idea about elimination, sometimes we forget about that. We're always looking to add things. And it might be time to look at what can we eliminate to make us better, to make us more efficient. All right, so let's wrap it up with the last two gym owners.
Hi, this is Christopher Kievit from Evolve Athletic Club. I'm the general manager here. The one positive thing that I can say that COVID has really done for us is create a online platform for our members. What it's allowed us to do is basically train anywhere, anytime, and impart our teachings and our class structure to wherever they are in the United States. We've had a great turnout all across the United States, from Arizona to Georgia, tuning into some of our classes. And it's also allowed us to really reconnect with some of our old members that may have moved out of the area. And it's also given them an opportunity to support us when maybe they couldn't because they were out of the area. So I would say that's been the biggest thing. The other thing that we've really noticed from a positive standpoint from COVID is that it's allowed us to get back to our protocols, our cleaning protocols. A lot of times gyms will let that fall by the wayside and not be so strict on their cleaning protocols. And now more so than ever, we've got to be really, really tight, because the misconception on gyms is that they're dirty places. I'm not going to go there, when really they could be some of the best places for people to go, not only from a cleanliness standpoint, from an overall health and wellness standpoint. And it would really help them get through this day and age of COVID. So those are the two things that I can really highlight, is being a multifunctional facility now across the United States, and also getting back to the good protocols that we had in place before COVID, but really making sure they're done to the nth degree, and they're really presenting good customer safety and good customer appreciation, if you will. So those are my two things. If you guys need any more information, you can check us out online at evolveathletic.club.com or at any one of our social media handles, Evolve Athletic Club on Instagram and Evolve Athletic Club on Facebook. Guys, this is Chris Kievit signing off.
Hey, this is Vince Gabriele. I'm the founder of Gabriele Fitness, and I'm also a business coach to some of the top gym owners all across America. And I'm grateful that Anthony asked me to provide something that I changed during the pandemic that I'm going to keep. So I only have 5 minutes. Anthony's got us on the clock for this one. So let me go. So obviously, I do two things. I coach gym owners, but I also have a gym. So I still had to make sure my gym kept running. And one of the things that was very challenging during COVID-19 was getting new clients from a marketing perspective. And the Facebook ad situation was abysmal. And it was just like people weren't coming through your website. And it was just really challenging to get new members. And so one of the things that we did is we leveraged all the former members that we had. We leveraged our list. We had an email list. We had lists of phone numbers. We had addresses. And the thing that we did, we spent the majority of our time reaching out to new people that were actually with us before. So they technically actually weren't new. They were really just people that weren't with us right now. And that was the biggest source of the new money that we made, was people that used to pay us. And we started to do things like we ran this campaign in July, and it probably got one of the best results we've ever gotten in the middle of a pandemic. It's like, well, if this works in the middle of a pandemic, this is going to work all the time. And actually what we did is we did something called a voicemail drop, where I dropped a voicemail into their inbox, and I recorded some kind of a voicemail. And it was basically telling them that it was right around the time that we were back open for business. And we were training outside. Actually, we weren't even open inside. We were training outside. So we were telling our people that, hey, we're open for business, but we're open outside. And and the voicemail goes right to their inbox. It doesn't even actually ring their phone. And we set up that we use this automation. We use a program called Nurture Ninja that set this whole thing up. But we essentially set up a text to go out, and the text was just essentially a question. And the question was, hey, did you get the voicemail from Vince? And then all kinds of people responded. We got more responses from that text than we did from anything else we've ever done. So, and then we brought a ton of them in and turned them into clients. We added, I think, 31,000. There's an exact number. I think it's like 31,750 in new business from that one campaign. And it was all to people that were already on our list. And so what we're going to keep from that is this constant quest to reach out to people that have already paid us. It's essentially a reactivation strategy where we now have systems in place that we will regularly follow up. We're not going to wait till a pandemic happens to be able to do this. We're actually going to now have a system in place that reaches out to former clients with some specific offer to get them to come back. And it's actually pretty cool because now we've done it in a different way where we're using the voicemail drop and the text campaign. We also have email follow-up. We're also starting to dabble in some direct mail where so essentially we put together this reactivation campaign that we really didn't have in place before that now we do. And it's this combination of voicemail drops, email, text message, and direct mail and we've been getting tons of new members or old members to come back in the gym. So, you kind of have to find creative ways to grow. And if you're not getting leads on Facebook like you were, then you need to find ways to continue to grow. So that's what we did during the pandemic, and something that we will continue to do forever to grow because it's such a viable source of new business. So hopefully that was helpful. You can get more info from me if you just go to you can download my book for free, my marketing book for free. It's called ultimategymguide.com. And you can get my marketing book. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Marketing Your Gym. And you can get that book for free. Just ultimategymguide.com. And go in there and you can put your info in and we'll send you the book for free. Thanks so much.
All right. So if I had to think of a word for the last two, it's kind of rediscover. And Evolve Athletic Club was in my building. I was upstairs on the third floor and they were on the first floor when I was living in White Plains. And, so I've known them a long time. I spent a lot of time in there. Emma absolutely loves it in there. And so I can tell you that the place was absolutely immaculate and spotless before COVID. So for them to kind of look at this and say, we need to even do a better job, and it really reaffirms the confidence and the trust that their client will have in them. And to think about Vince Gabriele, somebody who is also not only a gym owner, a very successful gym owner for a long time now, and then, a very successful business coach. And he talks to people about these things. And this is something that he's done in the past, but this is something that he took to the next level by, contacting former clients, the most successful campaign in his history. That's pretty crazy. That's saying a lot. And it's something that I think, you should go out there right now and think about doing that. But just rediscovering some of the things that you have done in the past and to kind of think, wait, we've gotten away from that and we need to do a better job of that. So I love that both of them have rediscovered things that they were doing. All right, that's going to do it for episode 305 of the Strength Coach Podcast. I really hope you enjoyed that format of getting people to come on. I really want to do this more with some different questions. So shoot me an email at strengthcoachpodcast@gmail.com. Just give me some feedback on what you thought about that, whether or not you thought it was too many people. I thought it was really just about the right. I was looking for about 10 or 12 and we got 14. So I thought that was pretty cool. But also with me interjecting, I just thought it made it it flowed a little bit better with me just kind of interjecting in there as well. So just send me an email and let me know what you thought. All right, you can try strengthcoach.com out for 30 days just $1. You'll have access to all the articles, videos, and programs, as well as the best forum on the net. It's the only place to have full access to Coach Boyle. He's on every day. Go to strengthcoach.com to access that offer. All right, special thanks to Chris Poirier and the folks over at Perform Better. Remember, the app is live. You got to check it out. It's the all of last year's virtual summer seminar series. Don't forget, too, they have some new webinars. Lee Taff will be doing the power of running camps and clinics to grow your business on February 23rd. Check it out at performbetter.com. Thanks to Coach Boyle and all of the gym owners that participated for sharing their insights and philosophies into the world of strength conditioning, performance enhancement, and the positive changes of being shut down. Thanks to Naamly helping build relationships through personalized communication so your members stay longer and pay longer. Don't forget, go to their website, check them out, use the referral code STRENGTHCOACH to get started on your free 30-day trial. Naamly, NAAMLY.com. Thanks to Adam and Tim and Train Heroic. Coach Boyle and I both use Train Heroic to deliver all of our online training. Head over to trainheroic.com. Start your free 14-day trial. Thanks to Jenny Rearick of Fit to Speak. Check her out at fit-to-speak.com. That's fit-to-speak.com. Thanks to Kevin Carr, Brendan Rearick. Check them out at certifiedfsc.com. My name's Anthony Wren. You can check the show notes at continuefit.com. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you next time.